digital painting. And like I said, again, can I see one more hands? How many of you have heard of the Paintbox? Yeah? Has anyone visited the booth? Art Meta has put on a booth with the Tezos Foundation as well out there. So we have the Paintbox today, and it's Quantel's Paintbox was a groundbreaking digital graphics workstation that was introduced in 1981 by the British company Quantel. It revolutionized television and graphic design by enabling artists to create, edit, and manipulate images digitally in real time. So this is in real time we had this going on. It was using a pressure-sensitive stylus and 16 million color palette. So this is the predecessor to our Photoshop and Procreate and all these amazing tools that we have today. Do we have some digital artists out there, actually? Any digital artists? Or artists that, like I like to say, artists that use digital tools? Cool, cool. Well, my name is Justin, and I'm coming from Los Angeles, as well as Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. I curate, I collect, but I'm really interested in the way in which artists today are using amazing tools. And here we have an amazing historical tool here, the Paintbox. I want to introduce everyone. I'll just go through, and you guys can say a little bit about who you are. We'll go ahead and start with Adrian Wilson here as well. If you could tell us just a little bit about yourself and give us a brief introduction.
Yeah, I worked on the Paintbox from 1984. I was at photography college, and I used to manipulate photographs around from 1984. So I'm kind of considered the first person to do what you would now call digital manipulation with Photoshop. And I basically have collected all this Paintbox memorabilia. I have working Paintboxes and brought everybody together and artwork, etc. So I'm kind of like the Mr. Paintbox.
He's Mr. Paintbox, and it's created this amazing reunion here in Paris, especially. We have Cesare as well. Cesare, could you introduce yourself and give us just a quick little background?
Yes. Should I speak Italian or French or what?
English. You can speak
English.
all of them.
I can speak English?
Yeah.
Can I speak English?
Yes.
Universal language?
Bien sûr.
All right. Okay, first of all, let me thank Aleksandra and Georg and you for organizing this event, and Adrian Wilson especially, because he made something that is absolutely insane. 40 years, no, in 1982, I bought Paintbox. I purchased $250,000 on my pocket. In 1982, in October, and I brought it at home because my cat needed some surface that would be warm and buzzing, and so the Winchester drive at the time provided both buzzing and warmth. And so occasionally my wife could work on the Paintbox. And so in 1983, we created with 3 other associates, put up some money, a company called Computer Video Film, which incredibly today, thanks to Adrian and all these people from Tezos and Art Meta, I've seen almost all of them again for the first time in 42 years. And the only missing person is my wife, who died a couple of years ago, unfortunately. And she was really one of the strong elements in constructing what CVF did. And it's amazing that 40 years afterwards, we are all still here, all still working.
That's amazing, amazing. And yeah, right? So amazing that after 40-some years coming together, and to your wife, Chiara, as well, and her use of it, they were living in Los Angeles as well as in Paris and working in the entertainment industry. And also we have Aleksandra here from Trilitech, the Tezos Foundation. Maybe introduce yourself and let us know how this all came to be with the Paintbox.
Thank you so much for having me here today. My name is Aleksandra Arts, and I'm the head of arts at Trilitech. And so we work within sort of the Tezos ecosystem to push digital arts forward on the blockchain. So a little about me. I've been working at the intersection of art and tech, you could say, for about 8-9 years. Started with .art domain, the launch of top-level domain .art, and then on many different projects involving institutions such as Ars Electronica, Rhizome, 7 on 7, working, like sponsoring the CADAF first digital and crypto art fair in 2017. So many early projects to see how can we facilitate the use of technology in the creative industry as a whole. And since April, working at Trilitech and seeing how do we grow art on Tezos, but also more globally educate the world about why digital art is important. And as part of this partnership, the Tezos Foundation has been supporting Arts Meta and now also this project Paintbox. And I think for us, the importance is there's so many more people now, especially after the generative arts boom, after, we saw 2021 going crazy. A lot of people got introduced to digital art for the first time, but a lot of them maybe don't know the history and the significance that this movement has been around for so many different decades. And so we're very fortunate, really, to have Adrian and Georg and Roger and so many people today on stage to talk about some of the origins and some of the important stories that we need to highlight. But also, obviously, we're contextualizing it in a contemporary way, where at events like this, events like Miami, contemporary artists can use the Paintbox. It still works. Some of the artists here already tried it. And it's going to culminate in an upcoming show, and it's going to continue being recorded in in history.
Thank you, Aleksandra. And before we go to Kiki Picasso, also would love to introduce you as well. Could you maybe share about what you're up to with the Paintbox as well?
Oh, she's the translator.
Oh, she's the translator. Okay, yeah. So she's going to translate about the Paintbox. Sorry about that. 1 second.
She's the voice box.
Oh, amazing. We love that. The voice box, the paint box. We have a lot of boxes here that we're checking off today. But anyways, before we go to Kiki Picasso, who's an amazing artist that was creating things with the Bazooka Group, we're going to go to you in 1 second. But we're going to go before we go to Kiki, let's go back to Adrian. And maybe, Adrian, you could give us a quick brief history of the Paintbox, and then we'll introduce Kiki and talk about how Kiki was one of those first artists and creators using the Paintbox.
Yeah, well, everyone kind of, there's a gap in digital art. Everybody obviously knows about the generative art in the 60s and the 70s and, Molnar and all these people, but everyone then jumps to 1990. All the things that you saw in the 80s, that you can think, oh, well, it's flying logos, but it wasn't. It was all music videos. It was all the graphics that you saw on TV. Your screen time in the 80s was all digitized for the first time. It went from analog in the 70s to 80s. It was all TV, graphics, digital. And all these artists exploring this new medium. That was done on the Paintbox. The Paintbox, the closest simile to the Paintbox would be like Google's search engine. You never saw the Paintbox because it was $250,000. It was in these TV studios. It was used by post-production studios. The same as you don't see your Google search engine. You don't know what color it is, what brand it is, but it affects your life. And that was the same with the Paintbox. So it's amazing. And it was run by boffins in Newbury, a little town in England, but it was used everywhere in the world, everywhere. Stanley Kubrick would be ringing up Quantel, everybody, and they just did it quietly. So this thing is all about revealing this history that you go, oh yeah, who did that Dire Straits video? Who did that album cover before Photoshop existed? Apple used the Paintbox to do adverts for Photoshop because Photoshop couldn't do it yet. So, but obviously, Adobe wins the battle of the giants or whatever. But Quantel launched the Paintbox before Adobe even existed. Never mind Photoshop. So yeah, to me, it's amazing because it's just this big gap. But everyone can remember everything from weather maps to music videos to whatever. And just think to yourself, if you see anything from the 80s, how was that done for the first time? And it was all done on the Paintbox.
And that sort of leads us into another thing. As a curator and art historian within this space, especially looking at artists that are using digital tools, so many times digital art is categorized as entertainment, as advertisements, as gaming. But it's the artists that are using this tool in a really creative way it's taking us to this notion of transcendence. What can happen when we're creating these visuals, and in this case, these digital moving visuals as well in live time. Kiki Picasso's here. Maybe Kiki, you could tell us about your experience with the Paintbox and being one of the first 6 artists to use the Paintbox.
Bonjour tout le monde. Est-ce qu'il y en a qui comprennent le français là, quand même? Un petit peu. Oui, moi je parle très mal anglais. Et moi je commence à travailler, à être un dessinateur, je dirais, professionnel en 75. J'appartiens à un groupe qui s'appelait Bazooka. La particularité de ce groupe, c'est qu'à l'époque, on n'avait pas encore 18 ans et nos journaux étaient interdits aux moins de 18 ans. Donc on était très très fiers. Et j'ai fait un certain nombre de journaux avec mes camarades. Et tout à coup, je faisais aussi du dessin animé. Et les travaux, le montage étaient souvent faits dans des régies vidéo. À l'époque, tant que les dessins animés étaient au banc-titre. Et tout à coup, dans les régies vidéo, j'ai découvert pour la première fois la première Paintbox qui arrivait à Paris. Et voilà, je suis devenu, on peut dire, accro à cet outil. Et j'ai fini même par m'acheter le Harry qui est la première machine de montage virtuel, qu'on pourrait dire être l'ancêtre de Premiere, de Final Cut, et naturellement la Paintbox, ancêtre de... Donc j'ai beaucoup travaillé. Pendant 10 ans, j'ai complètement arrêté de dessiner à la main. J'ai uniquement travaillé avec cette machine, faire de l'habillage d'antenne, des clips, et puis des travaux très personnels. Voilà.
No, I will resume. Kiki Picasso began to be a professional artist in 1975. He was one of the founders of art group Bazooka, but mostly they were doing the drawings, and he discovered the Paintbox from the beginning in the 80s while doing the animation, and he was very inspired by this experience. So he continued to work during 10 years with Paintbox and doing also personal works and professional and personal works.
And then real quick, the artists that were with you, who are, Adrian, maybe you could tell us a little bit about at that time, what you were producing at that time, and then some of the artists that were producing with Kiki as well.
Yeah, I mean, really some of the key artists that... so I don't know if you've seen there's a TV show from '87 called Painting with Light. So David Hockney, working with the Paintbox. That was the first time he ever used digital art, and that was broadcast in 1987. But 1985, Chiara came up with the same concept of bringing these 6 artists onto the Paintbox. And really, this was like the introduction of digital art to conventional painters. And what happened was, all the discussions you have now about whether something exists, who owns the art? You know, the French were like, well, the computer owns the art. You get to take something away, but the computer always owns it because it's in the hard drive. You get to see it on a screen or a print or whatever, but that's it. So there's all these, and it's France, as you can see. There's philosophers, everyone's like wondering what this means to art. And so there were all these discussions that are relevant now. You know, as much as this is about history, all the things that they were talking about in the 80s, whether this art exists, what it means to us as artists, were all being talked about in the 80s. So this is why this isn't a history lesson. This is a lesson that's relevant to today, which is why we're bringing these new artists. So yeah, there were some artists who didn't want to touch it. You know, Cesare was like ringing around, who wants to go on the Paintbox, and people were scared. Other people loved it. Loved it. So it's the same as now. Like, it's not for everyone. But yeah, there were some amazing artists that, you know, Lea Luban and...
Yes, Yes. Let's say that those were very strange. At CVF, Computer Video Film in Paris, we had an incredible team of people that were originally hand graphists, people that painted by hand. And 7 of them we hired became top graphic artists. I mean, they were equal, if not better, than people in England or elsewhere in Los Angeles or whatever. Because we did a lot of different works in advertisement, TV, whatever you want, custom material. But at night, we left the house open, and any one of the 7 graphics who wanted to go on working could go on working for himself and produce art. And this has made an enormous difference in the kind of graphic art in video that came out of our company, everywhere. But in 1985, my wife Chiara had an idea of...
85.
85, sorry, yes. Had the idea of proposing to Jack Lang, who was the Minister of Communication and Education and Culture at the time, why not invite painters that never touched anything digital, whose job is painting and selling paintings. So Jack Lang selected 6 painters, and one of them was Kiki, and they spent about, over a period of 3 or 4 months, they came in and our graphics helped them out to learn how to use the Paintbox. And they loved it. And they kept painting, and in the end we were asked to make a summary of 25 minutes in video, which you can see on our booth, by the way, at any time. And that's a unique example of painters that actually used for the first time an electronic instrument to paint. And today, I can assure you, there is no Photoshop, nothing of any other instrument that you can find for free or for money online that can come any close to what the Paintbox could do then and could still do now with the ones he has. He has 8 of them.
Yeah. Shh, don't talk.
Now, the other projects that we made that were absolutely unique were again, a simulation, 2 live shows with Chiara Boeri in the middle of the circus at Cirque d'Hiver. And she and Charlotte Rampling one evening played for about a half an hour. Charlotte Rampling being filmed by a camera and Chiara making fun of the pictures, and they both loved it, and the crowd too. I mean, and they were all applauding and happy. And then we made the last item. The last item is that we're asked to make the simulation of the 5 big projects of architecture that were started by Jack Lang and Mitterrand in 1982. And in 1986, there was a first ever presentation to President Mitterrand of the projects in simulation on screens instead of wooden maquette, okay? And that was a very first one, because nobody else had done anything like that at the time.
Yeah, one thing I should say is, even though, this obviously, there was things around Microsoft Paint, etc., and it was 24-bit, full color, etc., but people would go in at night. It was a commercial machine where people would pay to do TV commercials, etc., but at night you would be doing pop videos with your friends or digital art. I was paid, in 1987, I was paid $500 an hour to go on this, and I could work anywhere in the world. Like, you could just, if you knew how to use one, it was like a golden ticket. And even though people didn't see it, it was, people said it was the Rolls Royce of digital art, but really it was the Bentley, because that's faster than a Rolls Royce. And to give you a clue, Keith Haring, 7 months before he died, he got an opportunity to go on the Paintbox for 3 days in Italy, and flew, let's say, 7 months before he died, he flew to Italy just because he could go on the Paintbox, and spent 3 days on the Paintbox. So if you read in his journal, he describes how amazing it is, and literally ends it with the line, how doesn't anyone notice the Paintbox? It's like, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's a really beautiful point. I've watched a lot of artists, especially digital contemporary artists now, use the Paintbox, and it's so fascinating how they focus in and they really, it almost becomes this dance. It's not just a tool, it almost like is an invisible collaborator.
Yeah, so Quantel, basically, they designed transparency, which has basically meant that the artists, when they were working on the Paintbox, they forgot there was a computer there, and the viewer seeing the stuff on TV didn't know it was made by a computer. So, yeah, this is the thing that the Paintbox is three things. It's hardware and software that are all, custom, but it was also...
The key was the interface,
the artist, which was the artist. You didn't
which
need,
was designed by artists.
yeah, there were 50 artists employed by Quantel. They would be in the engineering department telling the engineers what they want. The engineers would say, we could do this, you've never seen. So it was an amazing interaction between art and tech.
Well, in fact, I can testify that, I've been involved in computer graphics since, 1973, 74. 3D first, and with companies like Wavefront and Evans and Sutherland, whatever that. And when I realized what the Paintbox could do, it was a complete break from everything else that was around. There was nothing that allowed a person that wanted to design, to draw, to paint or whatever, didn't have to program, didn't have to depend on a programmer, didn't have to depend on anybody. He just had to use his own head, and draw and paint whatever he wanted to paint or was asked to paint for money.
Kiki, come on, Kiki, we want to hear more.
Yeah, and then Kiki, maybe if Kiki could just share finally, like using the Paintbox and what have you done since and how that's sort of informed. As you can see, everyone's very passionate about this tool. Maybe Kiki you can share with Kiki.
Alors, tu peux parler, qu'est-ce que tu as fait avec...
Comment... Le truc incroyable de la Paintbox, moi j'étais un dessinateur traditionnel, donc pas par hasard, parce que j'étais passionné dès l'entrée, je me retrouve dans ces régies, mais le truc fou, c'est que d'habitude quand on faisait un dessin, moi j'ai beaucoup travaillé en tant qu'illustrateur pour faire des couvertures, travailler dans les journaux, et on vous commandait un dessin, il fallait le rendre très très vite, mais je passais toujours une journée ou une nuit. Et tout à coup, quand j'avais accès à la machine, en une nuit, je sortais avec 20 nouveaux dessins incroyables que personne n'avait encore jamais vus, parce que c'était vraiment les premiers dessins électroniques qui arrivaient.
As a traditional artist, Kiki Picasso used to spend the night to make one drawing, but with Paintbox, he could create 20 and very quickly, and so it was a really new experience, very in this sense, because before he was working also for the illustrator for the magazine, so it took much time to create one drawings, and in Paintbox help him to create very quickly, and the many drawings. It's a new experience.
Amazing. Well, I want to thank everyone. We're going to final with Aleksandra, who could tell us maybe a little bit about what is the future of this new reunion of everyone coming together with Trilitech, with Georg and Roger from Art Meta, as well as with the Tezos Foundation.
Ooh, the future. As you can imagine, a project like this, especially reviving it back from the 80s, it takes a lot of people in the room. So Adrian and Georg and Roger have done an incredible job at installation. Our teams at Trilitech have done an amazing job at PR, so we were fortunate to have many different publications already write about it. We're going to have more after this event, because the goal is really for the world to know, and the world will know more and more. I cannot talk to the institutional programming that is planned for the rest of the year, but I can't speak to the artists that will be involved and are already involved. So we had quite a lot of artists try the Paintbox in Miami, but it is permanently installed at Adrian's studio in New York. So for artists that are based in the US, they can come in and work. It's also going to be installed in Zurich. So events like this is great for someone to give it a first try, but typically for an artist to produce a more serious body of work, they need to revisit it several times. And thankfully there's a save function, so you can come in and come out. So we will also be having an event in New York in March, an event in London in April, and then the culmination in Basel in June. So definitely a lot. Stay tuned. Maybe the best way to stay posted about the announcements is through the Instagram and Twitter handles. Paintboxed, like with an ED at the end, Paintboxed 1981.
Amazing, amazing. Well, I want to do one more question. Who has heard of the Paintbox? Raise your hand. Okay.
If you're not raising your hands,
Okay, well, I want to encourage everyone to check out the Paintbox here on the floor in NFT Paris. I encourage you all to give it a try or look at it. And I want to encourage everyone, tap into that artist inside you, no matter if you're a coder, a strategist, or a creator. Adrian.
So I should say there's only about 15 left in the world. Despite that, I'm not going to charge you $500 an hour. It's free. It's free. If you're interested, it's free. So you're all welcome to come and enjoy it. Because, you know, these computers, they should be used, right? There's nothing worse than something on a shelf. So it's about a machine and an artist. So if you want to come and enjoy it, we're maybe putting one in Zurich as well, then you're all welcome.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you guys so much and have a great day.